Welcome to the Don Pod, the supporters podcast. Here's your hosts, Sam and Nath.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
The Dons start their year with a win against the arch rival at the MCG. Not convincing, not always impressive, but there is a number one in the win column. Essendon 17-5, unbelievable kicking 107 to Hawthorn 11-17, unbelievably bad kicking 83. Welcome back to the Don Pod for our first review of 2024. It is lovely to be back. I am joined by the illustrious Nathan. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Samuel. Thank you for having me.
Don't even know what illustrious means, to be
No,
completely
I'm
honest.
certainly not even what I would imagine it is.
But
how about the exciting news that we're Collingwood have played 2 games and we're in front of them?
Collingwood and Richmond are the first teams in history to be 0-2 after one round. That's how good they're going.
Yeah. And the amazing thing about the latter two is it's Gold Coast, GWS, and Port, is it? Well, I think even we should know how
we actually spend so long planning these conversations.
And then I throw something in that we don't fact check.
Nathan does that. GWS, Sydney, Gold Coast, Carlton are the top 4 at present. So, could have done without remembering that Carlton are there, but anyway. Collingwood and Brisbane both 0-2. It's always nice to have a bit of a change. Everyone just expects these teams to roll around again and just... They might still. It's only 2 losses. Let's not get too carried away.
We're just living in the moment at the moment.
We are living in the now.
Give us 3 or 4 weeks and we will be down there.
If for some reason you're listening to this in September and it's Collingwood-Brisbane in the grand final again, I'm sorry.
I hadn't thought of that.
That is all I can say. No one's going to be listening to this in September. I'll be amazed if anyone's listening to this in April. So, I'll go through some numbers. Goal scorers: Stringer 4, Langford 3, Wright, Perkins, Guelphy 2, Menzies, Gresham, Durham, and Caldwell 1. Leading disposal winners: McGrath 33, Merritt 31, a very quiet 31 by his standards. Martin 25, and Setterfield Perkins 24. I'll get your initial take before I roll off some match numbers.
Yep.
You watched it on telly. I watched it there burning in the March sun, and it was
it looked hot.
Unbelievably hot. I've been to Boxing Day cricket and it was colder than that.
Really?
Yeah.
I was in Queensland. It was a bit hot up there. It was humid.
Expect that in Queensland.
But I was fine. I had a pool to jump in at halftime.
I've never seen so many people buying bottles of water at the football.
Oh yeah,
It was
that's
unreal.
true. But it looked hot, from the telly.
It was. I can confirm, was hot.
My takeaways, just briefly, was that I was concerned at the first half. Happy with the result at the end, but I think it raised more questions than answers.
Fair enough.
So
I was a bit the same. I think I kind of, and this is weird for me, I thought we would beat them quite comfortably. Sort of round 1 last year, they were close at the start and then we ran away. I thought we might do a similar thing. I didn't really think about their improvement. I didn't really think about the fact we had 4 brand new players. Essentially,
but they
5
had some
with
pretty good players out,
Reed.
like Will Day.
Yes, they did.
And
defenders as well.
a couple of defenders and a few others. So I was really surprised that we should have been able to beat them quite easily.
Bit easier, yeah.
Yeah.
Some match stats, match facts. Plus 7 disposals, nothing really to write home about there. -6 in the inside 50s, which is somewhat concerning. Plus 9 hitouts. I saw a bit of love online for Goldstein at the game. Didn't think he dominated too much.
I'd agree with that. He was not as good in the other 2 preseason games.
Hawthorn Ruckman, is it Reeves?
Yeah, Reeves. Yep.
Huge. Absolute mountain of a man.
Yep.
So weirdly, Goldstein was outsized, but it didn't
and
matter.
And then I thought Chol was pretty good as their backup.
Chol was good as the athletic.
Yeah, and I don't love Wright as our backup.
No. Plus 9 clearances, and that plus 9 came all from centre stoppages. We were level around the ground. I know we did smash them in scores from clearances. Down 5 marks inside 50, which is symbolic perhaps of the easy nature that they transitioned. And we were plus 17 tackles, which is nice, a bit harder at the footy. And I think we'll talk about this a bit more, but Archie Perkins, 98% responsible for that stat. We'll talk about Archie.
Yep.
Number one on the agenda then is the scoring shots, because it's been a bit of a topic of conversation. As I said off the top, 17-5, which is never to be seen again, unbelievable kicking from us, to Hawthorn's 11-17. So that is 22 scoring shots to 28. Not ideal. However... Sorry, no, you go. I'm going to move on.
No, I was just saying, and look, at halftime, if they'd scored the other way around, like I think they were 5-11 or something like that, if they were 11-5, the game would have looked a lot like we could have been in. There's the scoreboard pressure would have been there, whereas we were up by that 1 point or something at halftime, weren't we?
It felt like at halftime we stolen the lead.
Yeah,
we
I
really
agree.
Shouldn't have been in front.
Things weren't looking good.
No,
is how I would have described it. Yeah.
Especially when you're expecting to roll up and
the only positive was a lot of their shots were a bit wide.
So that's what I want to make a point of. With the AFL app, you can do this augmented reality thing. Thanks, Jace, because I didn't know this existed. I don't know if he listens to us, but there you go.
You'd hope so.
I hope so. He's my best mate. If he's not listening to this, he's not my best mate anymore.
For
the time being, he is. The shot value. So there's two factors to this. They were +6 inside 50s. You look at the reality thing, their inside 50s are a lot shorter or a lot shallower than what ours were. Ours were a lot deeper. I think that's a little bit symbolic of we still just chuck it on the boot and hope Peter Wright can take a mark.
It's looked like that, doesn't it?
And also symbolic of the fact that they had easier transition, so therefore could hit the targets inside 50, which led to the shallower entries. But of their, how many behinds did I say? They had 17. 2, 4, 6, 8. About 9 of them were 45-degree angles, 40 out.
Yeah.
So they were tough shots.
Yep.
And then of the remaining, however many, there's only probably 3 or 4 that you'd expect them to kick. The rest are really far out, outside 50, tight angles.
Yep.
They're not high percentage shots. So all I really want to make the point there is that it's not always just bad kicking, bad football. It's not that simple.
No, it's two factors in this. Is it did we pressure them and push them out wide, and that's good footy, or do you look at it and say that they still had so many more scoring shots and so many more inside 50s that's bad footy?
The inside 50s is more of an issue.
Yep, I agree.
Because
they took more marks than us inside 50. Yes. Obviously, they had more inside 50, so they had that opportunity.
It comes back to how easy they were able to get from our forward 50 to theirs. And move the ball across the ground. First half in particular. Second half, they didn't do it quite as easily.
So, yep. And that's something that it should be a focal point for us, shouldn't it?
Well,
isn't that our massive weakness that has been for 2-3 years?
Again, we can cite synergy. That was a bit of a buzzword in the preseason. I will say that their decision-making going inside 50 wasn't brilliant either. There was a couple of times they hit Gunston and Bruce, who had pretty much the forward 50 between them and a teammate. Like, there wasn't a lot of players there, and they were leading to the pockets. Or they were leading to that 45 out, 45-degree angle. And it was like, well, they didn't use that space very well.
No.
Would be feedback. Flip side of that, you've got Peter Wright dominant from the boundary line, 55-metre out.
Pocket, yeah. And that's the whole thing too. Like there were a couple. I know we pushed them wide, but there were a couple of shots from Gunston and Bruce, like in that second quarter, that they eat up. Like they're good set shots.
And Chol had 1 or 2 easy ones that he
Chol
missed.
had a couple of really easy ones.
Very strange man, Matt. But
he had a couple that he should have, and the game could have changed. Like in those fortunes of a few kicks there. Like there was a moment in that second quarter where I felt like. And as you said, and I thought it was quite apt that, like we'd stolen the lead at halftime and then things changed.
Yeah. First half, they should have been in front. They should have been probably 2 or 3 goals in front. Second half, I think we owned, particularly the fourth quarter. Yeah. We owned. Third quarter, they were hanging in there, it felt. But yeah, I don't want to read too much into numbers and stats, but it is important to recognise where the shots were from. And then how those shots came to be. So 17 behinds, don't read too much into that. Transition, ease of which they go inside 50, read into that. That's what I'm
Whereas
about.
Our scoring shots were coming from centre clearances.
A lot,
so
yes.
We were really strong, and you and I would probably say that that's no surprise. Like our centre clearances for the last few years,
we've been quite
the numbers are pretty good. They're around the top 6-8 sort of teams. maybe even better. Our stoppage clearances, the ones for some reason when
We
we're out
struggle.
of the centre bounce, we are bottom 2 or 3.
Which for the preseason and this game, we broke even this game, and I think we won them. We won them at least against Geelong. I didn't have the stats for the Saints game. I think there's improvement there, and I think that improvement, honestly, and we'll talk about him later, largely comes from Setterfield.
Yeah,
Gets a
I agree.
lot of
Definitely.
around the ground.
It was very good.
But yeah, possibly.
But I think too, then again, as this half empty, half full, maybe this is the world I see as an Essendon supporter now because glasses, you know. Their midfield is not great. Like we next we're playing Sydney now.
Sydney's scary.
Yeah, they've been making other teams look ordinary the first 2 weeks
and good teams.
and then we've got St Kilda who got some pretty decents, and then we'll come up against like I watched GWS on the weekend, and like Green and Caniglio and Kelly and the other few guys they would roll through there, like they just look, the way they move the ball
We
when
do.
they're back after it's just beautiful.
Essendon Football Club do have a history of being a team that plays to the level of the opposition. True. Is why we're forever this team that can beat the good teams but seem to struggle against, last year. You think North Melbourne, West Coast, 1 point win against West Coast in Melbourne, 1 goal win against North Melbourne late.
Good point.
Yeah. So,
I guess I've been trying to have this mindset for this game. I still don't know what to think of this game, and I think I'll think of this game more after 2 or 3 more games.
And it's round 1. That's the same thing every year. We rolled them last year, and we had a very good first half of the season last year, but then died. So, yeah. All right, on to some individual performances.
Shall we start with the...
Well, we're going to start with the King, and apologies for my Teams notifications. They're just popping up. Give me 2 seconds.
That's okay. I didn't notice it.
No, you wouldn't have, but the good listeners out there certainly would have.
Well, can I jump in with the Archie?
Yeah, King Archie. I can't do it. Don't worry about it. If it keeps going off, I apologise. I want to roll off some stats. That's my only thing there.
Yep, go.
So, all hail King Archie. You would have seen the thumbnail of the podcast is Archie wearing a little crown, which I think is quite fitting.
I thought it was Guelphy.
It was definitely Perkins. Clown.
It was a joke there. So.
Oh, was it? I missed that. Wasn't very funny. You tell me that you're the humour here. 24 touches, 2 goals, 12 tackles, 8 clearances, 532 metres gained, 2 goal assists, and I've got there that he is in fact sexy.
He is.
I didn't notice him first half as much. I know he had good numbers first half. I didn't notice him first half.
Yep.
Second half, wow. I noticed.
Yeah.
Hard tackles, clearances, the goals. It's
shimmies.
It was everything we've expected or hoped from him, and a little bit more. The key, as it always is, will be consistency.
Oh, 100%. And that's you have called him, and I don't want to embarrass you on this.
Please do.
But you have said that he's the one that you think could be our next James Hird.
Did I say that? Did I? Okay.
Yeah, you did. You're the one that thinks you out of all the ones you've had a big fat thing for him. He's got a lot of those qualities. Now that game I saw from him on the weekend was the closest. I'm not going to say James Hird, but that is the best game I've seen him play.
Yeah, by far.
The problem with it before, and I reckon it was nearly first game, or maybe not first game, but there was a game early last year. He played not as good as that, but played a really good game and went back to 10, 11 possessions. Now, there's a couple of things, I guess, is it the Parish been out, and what happens if Parish comes back?
Yeah.
You would think, though, that that's fairly straightforward, that they just both, does Merritt go to a half-back role, or does Merritt stay in there, or do you just have more rotations?
I think
Setterfield has to stay in there because he's too important.
The one that comes out, if that happens, is Durham.
Yeah.
Durham had about 17 touches in the first 3 minutes and then didn't probably get a touch until the last quarter. We kicked a very crucial goal, but that's the one I'm taking out.
So you're saying it's Perkins, the big 4 bananas are Perkins, Parish, Setterfield, and Merritt. Yes.
And I'm not saying Durham out of the side. I'm just saying he's not in that centre bounce. Maybe as a rotation, but not, it's hard because we have 7,000 midfielders in that team.
Well,
that can
if you look at it too,
big in the middle.
So Yeah, so Perkins had 87% of the centre clearances. 81 went to Merritt, and 74 of it was Setterfield. So then Durham only had 45%. So he was Jai Caldwell was the interesting one, doing 13%.
Yeah, he's really playing solely half forward.
Yeah, he's been pushed back, which I think, and then there's Hobbs still to come into the team. So it's
Good
a
depth.
funny little. I didn't expect Perkins to be the one that jumps, and I'm hoping he is because he has a lot of the attributes that you want:
And this is
goal kicking, shimmying, sort of take the game on kind of midfielder, which they're the ones that can.
It's the growth
very,
you want
very
to see.
damaging.
When were they drafted?
agreed.
2020.
Yep.
It's his third year. Wait,
Yeah, fourth year.
24,
fourth
fourth year,
year.
because that's how maths works. Yep, thank you. Well, maybe I need glasses. It makes you look intelligent. Maybe I could.
No, just
that.
it makes me be able to read.
It might have been where the illustrious came from. There's just something about the glass. Yeah. If you can't see, Nathan's wearing glasses. If you're on, listening to.
I
us.
normally wear glasses. I got new glasses recently because I was getting I'm blind. Anyway, let's move on.
I don't remember you wearing glasses. Okay.
I've always wear glasses to read or see the screen.
Okay. Pay attention. Yeah, pretty resounding 3-vote performance there from King Archibald. Interesting, most 64% of his disposals were back half, midfield, but the defensive side of the midfield, which is interesting just given the setups at our stoppages, etc., etc. Yeah, great game, but do it again.
Yeah, that's so. You know me, I'm in my fantasy football.
You are in your fantasy football,
and I picked Stringer. And this week I had the thing. I thought, do I move it to Perkins? It's relatively similar price. I thought, but I'm like, every bone in my body goes, I don't have that confidence in him.
You're doing Stringer. I don't understand.
Well, I picked Stringer, and what was interesting, he didn't have one centre bounce attendance, which I was surprised by. I expect with Parrish out, I thought, they'll throw him in there a little bit, maybe 20%, CBAs, and if he kicks 4 goals, and he's the guy that normally kicks 4 goals and has 20 touches and has 100 points.
Maybe 3 years ago. This is what I don't understand about Nathan, listeners. He is big into fantasy football, studies it, listens to podcasts, you name it, he does it. The one thing that I associate with people being shit at fantasy football is picking too many players from their own team. And somehow you pick too many Essendon players and you're still good at it. I don't understand.
That's not fair.
We've had at least 3
I had
discussions.
Zach Reed, and I was a bit crushed when he went down with
he
the
was on 15
hammy.
points at half time. You weren't getting a lot there anyway. Anyway, I don't understand.
65 points in the practice game the week before.
It's good bloke. Good bloke, Zach.
He marks the ball. You get 6 points for a mark.
Do you?
No.
Seems like too many.
You get a lot of points for a mark.
Yeah. Okay.
Can't remember what it is now.
All right. We're going to move swiftly along. I want to talk about one of your absolute favourite players at the club. And I have this on good authority that he is your favourite, in fact. Matt Guelphy.
Oh, he's not. No, he's not my most.
Oh, did you?
There's another one that I hate more.
Yeah, okay. It is next on the list, in fairness to you.
Yeah,
I'll just skip over it. 2 goals from 12 touches for Guelph, 4 goal assists, and that equates to half of his disposals, resulting in goals specifically. And the key thing I want to talk about here a little bit is the negative role that he played on Sicily, the kicker.
Yep. And look, I loved this. I love that Guelphy was given this job to go, we as a club we know Sick Dog's valuable to them as a defensive. He sets up a lot of their play. He's the general down there. And I love that we went, okay, let's get someone onto him that he'll like the matchup because he likes a shorter matchup. So that's why Guelphy, he would have been happy not to roll off Guelphy, but to start him. But Guelphy's job then was to not let him get any, tackled him and harassed him and stuff when he was near the ball. But he also, did a great job of having 2 goals. Now, I'm the first one to say that I was surprised by Guelphy being picked in that team.
Absolutely.
Because I didn't like it. Mm-hmm. But that game he played was very, very good.
Well, that's the role,
again,
isn't it?
I want to see that more often than once every 17 weeks.
We've seen it with Guelph. Maybe not into that level. I think that might be his best game for the club. I know he's kicked 3 or 4 goals in games, but what was impressive was the tackling. The ability to get involved in the play. 4 goal assists is it's good numbers, especially when you're kicking 2 goals yourself. And you're limiting the influence of a very, very good opposition player.
Yep.
Zig Dog's their best player by far. I've said that without thinking about it, but nothing else has come to
No,
mind.
well, in the team at the moment, yes, he is.
Yep. So, yeah.
He's probably the only All-Australian in that team.
Mm-hmm. Is he All-Australian? Okay. Yeah, love it. But, yeah, again, same as Perkins, do it again. That's
right.
the key. And that's the key for the entire football club. We're not just picking on him.
And do it again against Sydney and do it against hard-running St Kilda. Like, the next 2 weeks, great tests. Those guys can't have a 4-game, 4-possession game.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, I really liked it, and I thought good coaching to put him in that role.
Yep.
It's good. I'll talk brief. We're going to do positives, and then I'm going to move into negatives.
I love it.
The recruitments. Four debutants for the club on Saturday.
Yep.
We'll talk about them one by one in order of least to most influence. And I put Goldie first. I thought he was serviceable. I didn't see what I saw in the preseason. He was unbelievable in the preseason.
Yeah. And can I also just mention that why was Draper named as an emergency?
Yeah, weird.
I don't get that. Anyway, we'll move on from that.
The man moves. He ran all day. It was hot. He was at every contest. Nothing wrong with the game at all. But we'll talk more about this when we talk about the Sydney game next week. I don't want him to be sole ruckman again.
Well, we'll talk about that, I think, when we get to the negatives.
Yes. Dersma. Probably should have started with Dersma. He was all right. He was all right. Had a bit of a underpants change moment in the last quarter where he kind of fumbled a handball that he just like threw it, basically. Yeah. Other than that, it was okay. Didn't set the world on fire, but he's an out-and-out winger, and we have sort of needed that, so that's okay. Loved the zinc. That was a good look. Oh, I don't know who to put second here. I'm going to go Mackay.
Yeah, that's fair. I would agree with that.
And I'm going to just segue off here and talk about Reid in this conversation as well. So between the two of them, they had 6 defensive one-on-ones and lost 0. And that was 3 apiece.
Defenders.
3 apiece. I thought at times Reid looked a little bit slow. Only once or twice, just seemed a bit to react, not slow in movement, slow to react. But didn't get beaten in a one-on-one. And Mackay, holy shit, took marks.
Yeah.
Clean.
He bumped someone and then marked the ball.
Oh, very good. Very happy with that pickup.
It's a strange world.
I did watch
the disappointing thing of that, obviously, is injury.
Is the Reid's injury, yeah. Only 1 or 2 weeks. It was listed as hamstring awareness, but he's got a low
It's still concerning
strain.
that he's had a full preseason. Everything seemed to have gone right. And there was a little bit of a rumor going around a couple of weeks ago after the Geelong game that he was a bit sore.
That he was injured, yeah.
Yeah,
he is not one that we would be playing injured. Surely not.
I don't know, Sam. I don't know if he himself might have kept it to, maybe he was a bit sore and he was like, but I want to play. I've had too much time off. That has to happen in some players' mindsets. I'm sure of it.
So can I just update you here? This is breaking news.
Breaking news.
As of recording, the injury list has just come out.
4 weeks.
So Matt Guelphy, calf.
Yep.
There was a bit of footage rolling around on Twitter of him pulling up lame, 2 to 3 weeks. That sucks.
It's a good calf.
Darcy Parish is a test. Mason Redmond suspended. Obviously, we'll talk about that. Yeah. Ridley still 1 to 2 weeks away.
That's 3 weeks.
Zach Reid hamstring. 4 to 6.
4 weeks. Yep. That's it.
That hurts me.
And that's what I was going to say though. My concern is that he has a whole preseason. He runs around, gets warm, gets fit. Everything seems to be good. Plays a couple of practice games, not going at maybe full pace. I don't know. Then hits the real stuff for a half and pings a hammy for 6 weeks. And they're conservative numbers. They're always conservative numbers when you see the 1 to 2.
True. Yeah.
You always add an extra 1 or 2 onto that.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to talk back about Mackay again. It was just really nice to have a fullback,
Laverde now,
big boy, take marks. It was nice. I did watch BZT with a bit of interest, but they were playing West Coast in fairness, and he didn't have to do an awful lot. He was okay.
He was shit out BZT. I watched that game. He was ordinary.
He stuffed up once.
He made mistakes,
and I can recall.
He made a few blues.
Okay. Anyway, and number 1 on my list of recruits that had the most amount of impact was Mr. Gresham. He was in everything first half, particularly chasing the ball, pushing the ball, forcing the ball forward.
Yep. He was
And
great.
when he kicked that goal, brilliant goal on the run in the last quarter, the one word that was little buzzing around the stands, deserved.
Deserved.
Absolutely deserved that goal. He worked his ass off.
Look, he was very good all game, and he's a player that we've required for a long time. You can see that in the way he gets about it, and his attitude towards the game is brilliant. And I hope that we can continue to develop him because he's only still very young, 26. Yeah. So I just want to see more of him doing that.
And it was the highlight of the game. That goal out of the middle, Perkins to him, running 55-metre bomb. But yeah, absolutely deserved. He worked so hard in full quarter effort.
Yep.
And last on the good list for this week at least is Mr. Setterfield.
Setterfield.
Cricket captain extraordinaire, Setterfield, yep. 24 touches, 11 of them contested, which was a team high. 8 tackles and 7 clearances. Now, I believe the majority of those 7 clearances were stoppage clearances, which is why I said earlier that his were around the ground. I'm not going to fact check it. It takes too long.
We can say what we want anyway.
Love his game. Love the defensive element that he brings. Usually he's the one leading the tackles. Perkins with 12 is just unbelievable. But Setterfield is consistently 7-8 tackles every game. His kicking's a bit shit, I'll be honest.
Yep.
He delivering the ball inside 50 at times was just a bit meh, but exactly right. 24 touches, didn't really notice him have 24 touches, but it's just consistent.
A lot of inside touches. He gets a bit of outside footy.
Lets the outside runners run. And
he does his job, gets the ball out to the guys that...
Very happy to have him in the side.
I think he'll be, if he plays a full season, touch wood, then I think we'll see an improvement in the other midfielders around him because of that, what he does, that grunt work that he can, help with. I think guys like Perkins, Hobbs, and probably Merritt, the way he plays. He's very valuable to have to our team.
I think
we lost that last year.
Yeah, definitely. I think to have him and Parrish rolling around the stoppage clearances too will help a lot. 2 genuine under ball winners.
Yep. Whereas he can play more of a negative role too on a player. Like he can be someone you can send to and say, look, just keep a strong eye on him.
He's a bit more defensive minded.
Yeah, well, you saw, I don't know if you saw the Freo Brisbane game where Chera had 46 touches. And Brisbane sort of just let that happen all game.
It wasn't Chera.
Oh, sorry, not Chera. Sarong's always the right. He had 46 touches. And I thought at a couple of stages, like, Brisbane, surely someone goes to him. Like he's had, 35 at half time. Someone roll over near him, like you're losing. You might have to actually be defensive for a bit. So that was interesting. Anyway.
Yeah. I'm going to talk then now about a middle of the road. I don't want to say it's a negative, but I don't want to say it's a positive. I'm going to ask you the question. What's your opinion on Harry Jones?
Yeah, no, not up to AFL standard at the moment. The big knock on him I continued to see through the preseason, and it was glaringly obvious in this game. He's got no body strength. He can't hold a position. He can't hold a mark. I was watching this game with my nephew, young Zachy, and we talked about it. And I said at one stage, how many marks has he taken? Well, because that's his job, really, to get up the ground and try and take it. And they should be marks where he's leading out in front of someone and just getting the ball, turning around and kicking it. That's, hands out, boom, mark.
Front, yep.
2 marks. And I was like, I'm even surprised by those numbers. It's just not good enough. I was just going to say one more thing. I discussed at one stage, if you play 2 ruckmen, you could easily take him out.
And that, we'll talk about changes later. That's literally what I've got, which is counterproductive to my next question. But anyway.
Yep, okay.
If we took Jones out, I was going to ask what that does to the structure of that forward line. Because I thought, I don't like Peter Wright in the ruck, as you said.
No, no, my
But I also like the fact with Jones in the side that Peter Wright's not the one leading up the ground. Peter Wright's getting the ball inside 50.
But Jones is not doing that job very well.
But
I don't know how long you give
structurally,
him.
it's keeping Wright where Wright needs to be.
Okay, so either it's Caddy or it's Draper or someone like that. But I can't personally. What I don't like is when Wright goes into the ruck, it then is Jones as your tall. Like he's the one that goes
He's
deeper.
the super tall. Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't mark anything. Like he doesn't even really get close. Like he gets bumped out by so easily by so. Like there was a guy that bumped him out that was about half his size at one stage. I was like, oh,
I will say in his defense, he didn't get beaten too often. He didn't get outmarked, which is my bare minimum. I agree that he needs to be better for sure.
He needs to mark the ball,
but my bare minimum.
2 marks and 4 touches for a game.
Yeah, it was a shocker. It was an absolute shocker. But we're going to have this question a lot this year. Is he better off playing? Because when you're a team who's not going to make a grand final, probably not going to make finals, let's be real.
No, that's true.
What's the value?
But do you give Caddy a go? Like I know he didn't have a great game in the VFL.
So that's what I mean. At some point, there's a line for sure.
Yep.
But there'll be people, and me included, who want him out of the team next week.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's overly clever to do that. I think it's counterproductive.
No, I don't. It's probably going to hurt him a lot if you drop him after one game. But they've already, West Coast have dropped. I think it was Gaff or someone like that. After their first, and they said he won't go back for a week
because he had
and then he's been told he's not playing next week already. My theory here is that if you play a Draper as a forward till he gets, I'm sure he's not far off full fitness. But what he gives you is that Wright never has to go ruck, which Wright stays as that other tall, and he can stay more in the 60-meter zone. And now I argue that I reckon Langford can nearly get up the ground and do that sort of high half forward sort of role because he's not bad at that.
We did see some class from Langers. Was pretty well beaten in the first half and then managed to kick 3 and was a match winner in the second half. It is also helpful, with Stringer kicking goals. It takes that pressure off, right? A little bit.
And Langford, and this is what Stringer brings to the table. Is he like Stringer, Wright, and Langford all of a sudden require 3 good defenders and slightly all different defenders, like because Stringer and Langford are both sort of more midfielder bodies, like in that they're good at ground ball gets. They can hurt you a bit in the air. Well, definitely one-on-ones. They're both very strong one-on-one. Whereas Peter Wright's a traditional tall forward. He marks and kicks.
That man's set shot. Oh.
It's beautiful. So then with
the
aggression. So the question is, with Guelphy out now for, as I said, 2 or 3. Do you stay with the smalls? I mean, he did a really good job. You're coming up against Sydney that don't have an overly tall defensive back 6. Do you try and stretch that and go a Caddy or a Draper or a someone like that, or do you just go like for like and bring in a Hind or a?
I don't think you can't play Stringer. Well, let's talk about next week later on. Sorry, I don't want to go too much.
Sorry. Move on.
Trying to keep structure. In the middle as well, I want to talk about Cox. Nicholas Variety.
Yep.
I've got a couple of guys that sit behind me at the G who I absolutely adore and love seeing them at the footy. Mm-hmm. However, Brian has got a bit negative in the last couple of years, and I don't blame him. He was getting a lot of hate on Mr. Cox. So I just want to mention him specifically. A victim of circumstance. Was badly beaten by Chol.
Yep.
But I just want to say, anyone that's given him grief, he's not a key back. And he shouldn't have been playing as a key defender in that game. And he did for the last bit of the second quarter when Reid went off, and then he went straight back to the wing.
Well, I would argue that I still think he's got potential to be a key back. I do. I know there's every moment, so often there's moments I see things that go, well, it's there.
Do we really expect him to be doing that right now?
I think the bigger issues with, no, I don't expect him. I don't know what I expect from him because he missed a lot of footy last year. And the same could be said for Jones. We could give him that out that he's, he's missed a lot of footy. And Cox, we could, you look at them, they miss a lot of footy and they just want to get that, continuity back into their game and their bodies and all that sort of stuff, playing every week. Because Cox, for me, the concern when I watch him is that he can be a little bit, I don't want to like to use this word, timid. Like, he looks a little bit gun shy about body work and, all that sort of stuff, but he's very clever. Like, when the ball hits the ground, he can be threatening for his height and he can run and carry, and his decision-making seems quite decent.
It's funny, if you go to games a lot, or if you get to a game, watch him in the warm-up. He's a different man. He moves freely, he body fakes, he has a lovely kick. But I think
that's confidence that he hasn't got in himself anymore. He had it in those first few games. We saw that in his first 1 or 2 or 3 games. He did things and we thought, wow.
Yeah.
He kicked on the opposite foot, he stepped around people, but something happened in between there, and probably it's supporters like us that he listens to that have bagged him out, and he's lost a lot of that confidence. And so that confidence has to come back somehow.
Having listened to a lot of supporters' opinions, my advice to any player would be don't listen to supporters.
No.
Us included.
Well, maybe.
Maybe, if you're listening, Nick. What I will say, and this phrase has been rolling around my head since Saturday, and I think it was Collingwood. I hope it was Collingwood because it carries more weight if it was. That Craig McRae basically said, show your flair.
Yeah.
Have confidence in what makes you a good football player.
It was Craig McRae, yeah. I have heard this.
And use it. And I mean, Collingwood are 0-2 right now. It's pretty hard to sort of sit there and still think they're God's gift to football.
No,
but last year, they were incredible. And they had individual performances players do unbelievable things.
Yep.
I'd like to see that a little bit more with us. Obviously, skill level might not be there because we're not as advanced as they are in their list and as their playing careers. But Durham's starting to do it a little bit more. Just take on fake, tackle, kick, whatever, kick goals. But yeah, there's some guys. Nick Cox, prime example. You've got the
attributes.
You've got the attributes. You've got the tools in the shed. Use them. If you get caught, all right, you've learned something.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah. I wish there was a bit more of that license.
Yep. Yeah. And look, I feel very differently to him than Cox. Than Jones, in that I feel like Cox has got a lot to offer even at the moment, and then there's potential growth. Whereas I think with Jones is that he's really hurting us in the way he's not marking the ball. Or
am I right in saying Jones has had longer as well?
Jones has definitely been at the club for a year, if not 2 longer.
Yeah, okay.
I guarantee he's been there a year longer.
It's a really hard one because
he hasn't played as much footy. He's been injured. Like first year he's injured. Then that second year it was when he played so many games, kicked like 12 goals straight. Something like
and
that.
Then missed the one against Collingwood.
And then he missed another year. Yeah, then he missed one against Collingwood. And then he missed another year injured. Then I think then there was last year where he was on and off. So that's part of our problem, and that affects development. There's so many factors in that.
It's difficult to talk about as supporters because if we were expecting to be top 4, then dropped immediately.
Oh yeah, then yes.
But
if we're expecting to be bottom 4, then he plays again next week.
Then you just got to cop it and go, well, Harry, this is your chance to show us what you're worth. Because I don't know if he's out of contract this year or next, but I'm not.
I think it's this year actually. I have a funny feeling it's this year. We could look at that. We have the data for it.
You can look that up. What I should have mentioned in the positives was Jake Stringer, contract year. Shouldn't be surprised at all, but he was very good, and I was remiss of me not to mention him sooner.
Yep.
The negatives, I want to talk about the stupidity, and I know we disagree on this already, of Mason Redman.
Yes.
There was a bit of talk about the comparison to the George Hewitt Lockie Neal incident last week.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was a clear punch. Yeah.
The difference in the grading was that Redman was graded intentional and Hewitt was graded as reckless, I think.
Yeah.
For the grading that Redman got, I'm happy. I'm fine. It was graded high impact or high contact, low impact, intentional, and he got a week. Whatever. Stupid.
Yep.
Don't go near the head. How many times you have to be told not to go near the fucking head?
I just don't understand players that have that that pushy, punchy shit attitude now. Like you can
punch him in the chest. You're only
just
going to
do
get
anything.
fined.
Just walk
don't
away.
do anything. But if you want to do something, just don't fucking hit him in the head. It's not that hard. Sick
Well,
dog on
in
another
his
level.
defense, he wasn't trying to hit him in the head. You can see in the footage. He's gone for the shoulder. It's bounced off the shoulder and come up and hit him in the
Well,
face.
we should have then argued that it wasn't intentional.
But I think Essendon, what they've done is said that Redmond, you shouldn't be doing that. Like you should have.
Shit.
You had a bit of a shit game. You made
You
some
did.
pretty massive cock ups. Like maybe this is all leadership. Like if you want to be a leader at the club,
Can't be
that's
doing
not
that
how you
shit.
go about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway, just dumb thing, and he was pretty
yeah,
average.
painful.
He didn't touch the football for half the game.
I thought he was ordinary. I thought I was frustrated by a lot of things he did and the way he sort of jogged around at parts of the game. You know, there was a lot of in that first half. There was a lot of jogging. There was a lot of guys just sort of moping through the midfield chasing someone.
It was very hot. I will say we've got too many skinheads between Kelly, Cox, and Redmond. I can't tell the difference.
We need some tattoos.
I thought Kelly started on the wing and it was Cox the whole time.
He was on the wing at several stages.
Yeah. That's a good segue, I suppose. Actually, no, I want to take it back because I want to talk about Sicily. The kick. And Hawthorn are challenging the kick at the tribunal because he got a week.
Oh, really? Oh, that's fine.
Not really sure about that. He should get a week just for doing it. I don't care how hard it was.
No, they can. That's fine. They can challenge that.
Sicily's got some serious white line fever.
Oh, Sicily's he's an interesting
Must
leader
be so
too.
frustrating as a Hawthorn supporter.
Yeah, because I mean he was out. He missed like 3 or 4 weeks last year from reports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was victim of the sling tackle thing too.
That's right, yeah.
Negatives? I
Negatives?
want to talk about Jake Kelly. I thought on the day that he was okay, but then I think I was confused with the skinheads. So 15 touches at 53.3%. He runs.
Yeah.
He runs like no one
Yep.
else on that team. He's
I don't
got a huge
doubt that.
tank.
Yep.
He's big heart, shit footballer. I'm sorry.
Shit football. Yeah, no.
I
Shit
don't
football player, big heart.
see the attraction to that man. I don't think there's a single supporter, if there is, let us know, that is for him being in the side.
Especially on the wing.
I can't understand
Like it, I would have thought. And so one of my frustrations was in that first half was Guelphy. Like, sorry, not Guelphy. Ginnivan.
Mm.
And that like he looked like the only player that could beat us. Like, you know, he'd kicked 3 and he hit it by halftime or whatever. 2, sorry. And he just was around the game, you know, him and was another one too. They just looked damaging. And I thought, now we've got Kelly in our team who when we brought him from
He was recruited as a small defender, yes.
yeah, he was brought from Adelaide purely because of his ability to shut down small defenders, which at the time was a massive issue for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still seeing it as a massive issue because, like, Ginnivan finished with 3 or 4, did he?
2.
Yeah, he looked like he was going to.
He was very first half loaded for
Yeah.
Giddy.
But yeah, funny. I think anyway, and yet they didn't move him to him, and they just stuck him on a wing, and then he sort of, I think, when a few injuries happened, he might have gone back there with Heppel, but with him and Heppel in the team,
Well,
we are too slow.
Heppel ended up being on Ginnivan a fair bit second half, and there was no effect from Ginnivan second half. So I'll say that for Dice. But yeah, I don't understand Kelly. I just can't.
Yeah, I felt like part of us being a bit better was because of Perkins, and I think the other one was Sardis. I think
Sardis was great when he came on. Yep.
He
absolutely.
influenced the game. I don't know if I can pinpoint exactly what he did, but he got
He
to
was
contest.
there.
He got to the contest and he got the ball and he kicked it forward and they hit targets. And I was like, I don't think he's done anything special, but he's just played footy. Like he's just rocked up for a half and went, well, I can do this a little bit of this.
So
he's got an awkward kicking style. Like he
it is a bit.
his head nearly goes all the way down to the ball.
I do say head over it. I took that literally.
Yeah, his head's way over it.
So in a half of football, we played 40% game time, subbed on after half time, obviously. 12 touches, 4 clearances. So just winning the footy. It was, it was impressive.
I would guess his efficiency would be in the 70 or 80%. Like I felt like he, everything he did was about what it needed to do.
In disposal efficiency, putting me on the spot there, 83.3. So yeah, good.
Yeah, so that's just a good little half.
Yeah. Lastly, it was remiss of me not to mention Pidge. I thought McGrath, he had a lot of touches, but particularly first half, did a lot of defensive acts well.
Yeah.
I know you're still not a fan of the disposal.
He still has that moment where he kicks the ball out of bounds on the full. Like I'm like, what the? He did.
There was a bit of that across the league. I'll say.
Yeah,
I watched a fair bit of footy this week, and the skills weren't particularly sharp.
Sort of just because it happened across the league that we can give
round
me that
one,
excuse.
you just sort of, maybe out of
Well,
hope
one,
more than
they've-
anything else. I just turn a blind
They've
eye.
played 2 practice games. Some of them have played 2 games already.
He went at 85% efficiency.
Yeah,
So
and
let's
the numbers always shine for him, but something about the eye test doesn't work for me.
Okay. I was impressed anyway.
Yep.
All right. Anything else about the game? I'm going to move on to some socials, which will give us some more talking points, actually. So I retract that question to you.
Let's move on then.
We put the post out on Facebook, 2 posts. One before the game. If you got the margin right, you got to vote. So get in on that next week.
Yep.
And then one after the game where we'll ask you a question and we'll talk about some responses.
Yep.
So Christopher Maud, I want to single this out, not to be nasty or anything, but he got a fair bit of flack. So the comment, how long are we going to tolerate Heppel not kicking to our advantage? Turnover king for so many seasons. Sorry, Heps, love your guts, but seriously. So then I've done my research, first time for everything. Heppel, 21 touches, 3 of them coming out of the D50 at 90%. So,
Yeah, see, and I wouldn't have said that. Like, you know how I could guess Sardis's efficiency before. Heppel's I would have put it 70 or below because maybe again there's an eye element to these things too. Like maybe if you take 5 minutes to have your kick and you kick it to sideways to an Essendon player who's by himself, you go, yeah, that is you're going to do that all game. You're going to get 90% efficiency. It's that one kick that's required that he doesn't take, or the one kick where he fucks it up and it gets turned over, goes back over his head. You go, well, that's the one that burns us.
The other key,
I think go.
The other key, sorry, just before we move on too much to the disposal or the kicking efficiencies, any kick over 40 metres is effective. Period.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh,
so that does contribute.
And it's the same with Kelly. Like Kelly, when he gets the ball, it's this moment I have to stop and think. Now I've got a ball in my hand. Which foot do I kick from? Where am I playing today?
The hooker of old.
Yeah, I'm like, how long does it take to kick the fucking ball and make a decision, you dickhead?
I'll admit, and like I said, Christopher got some slack in the comments. I will admit, eye test, I thought he was pretty average, Dice, but the stats, and this is what the comments were saying, the stats do differ. So,
yeah. And I reckon if we went back, review his numbers, you're going to see a lot of sideways kicks and stuff.
And the annoying thing
They're not hard to make.
Guess who's going to be in the team next week? Heppel, Kelly, Laverde.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Laverde has to come in unless they go Hayes.
Maybe. I'm expecting Laverde. I'm expecting, because it's Sydney. It's a good team.
Yep.
We've talked about this a little bit. Lee Baker said how easy it was for Hawthorn to rebound. That's still a concern. And it was
still a concern. Still
mightily evident.
Yep. And Sydney are going to do it. Like, they've got some good players that do that. Like,
yes.
The Lizard and, Lloyd and,
Warner and Golden. Holy hell.
Yeah.
I'll run all day.
But they're defensive guys. Like, Lizard will just run away from us.
Yeah. Yep. Lizzie. I want to give a special mention to Daniel Burns. We had this on the agenda. We were going to talk about it, but he absolutely nailed the goal kicking conversation. So I won't read out his comment because it was quite in depth, but it was beautifully well summed up. So just give him a mention. Jimmy McGilvray.
Yep.
We'll go with that. We have too many midfielders. I agree. This is a problem. We're trying to shoehorn Perkins, Durham into a midfield that at full strength is containing Merritt, Parrish, Satterfield, Hobbs, Sartis, probably wing. Who misses out? And then point 2, centre half forward's a real problem. Jones can't get near the ball. Once Draper is back, we cut our losses with Jones and play Draper and Goldie. So on the first point, too many midfielders. Totally agree. We just have them.
Well, the problem there is there are too many midfielders, and not many of them are very good as half forwards. Like, Caldwell's not a very good half forward. He's okay, but he's not the guy who pops up and kicks 5. Like, whereas you look at GWS, they got guys like Toby Bedford, who probably could play midfield at most clubs, but he'll kick 4 or 5 as a small forward. Like they've got Green's obviously a great example, but like he's similar sort of size, but he can kick 5 any day of the week. They've got those guys in other clubs that.
Yeah, and
whereas we've got now, who kicks 5 for us as small?
Well, I mean, Perkins on his
maybe
Gresham
could. Gresham could one day.
No. We're only getting bags out of our tools, really.
Yeah.
If we got 3 or 4 out of Guelphy or Gresham one week, stoked.
Yeah. But it's usually Stringer, Langford, right.
Yes.
That's where the pressure is for goals to
But
come. They're not out of the small.
goal kicking mids has been an issue for a while. That's not new.
Yeah.
The point I think Jimmy's saying here is
deal
that
with
we
that,
just
like-
have a lot of midfielders in that team.
Yeah, and I agree. And my point is that they're all better midfielders than forwards.
Correct. So do you just not
So I
play
agree with
them?
what he's
What do
saying.
you do?
Because usually you can shove a couple forward, and like Jed, again, back to Jeros, they shoved Caniglio down forward for a long time, and then realised that was stupid. As for centre half forwards, I agree.
Well, we've
100%.
talked about that.
Yeah, it's a massive issue, and I think you give either this week you give Jones another shot and get Caddy very, very cherry ripe for the week after that against St Kilda.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Because that's about what's coming up.
Matt McLaughlin had a few points, but I want to ask you the one
Yep.
in particular. Letting D'Ambrosio go was a mistake. Great by foot and smart with the footy. Needed to play him ahead of Kelly and Hep.
Yeah.
Can I just, before you answer that, I want to make one point. I did not notice him one little bit.
I noticed him on the tally a lot. Definitely. It's interesting. He had pretty good numbers.
He had very good numbers,
stats-wise.
but I was amazed. When it popped up at like 3/4 time, I was like, holy shit, how has he had that much football?
I mean, 2 points. We didn't let him go. We gave him a 1-year deal and he didn't want it. So we didn't get talked into giving him 2 years because we didn't value him enough. I agree with we probably should have been playing him in front of Heppel, but we talked about that Heppel's value was leadership. Kelly, this is last year. Kelly, I don't know what the fuck he was doing in the team. We're still confused by why he's in the team, but he's playing on a wing now.
Well, Scott was trying to
wingmen
do
in the fucking team. He's one
different
of them.
things. Scott was trying to do different things, I think, which is why you couldn't really
Do different
say
things, mate. Just do one fucking thing.
Yeah, but
right.
I'm saying like you couldn't. The argument for D'Ambrosio over Kelly that wasn't an option because it's not the role.
Well, but D'Ambrosio can play on a wing.
Yeah.
Like,
I
he's
don't
got the
think
kicking for that.
he's one we'll regret letting go. I think fair enough. I can't believe that he got like 4 boos when he got the footy at one point.
Well, my third point on that was that he might have just played that game that well because he's playing against his old team. He wants to show him, look what you let go.
Maybe.
We'll see how he goes over the next few weeks.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, like if he has those sort of games over the next few weeks and over the year, you go, well, maybe we didn't see something.
Yeah, all power to him. I hope he has a good career.
But as I've always
don't
said, halfback flankers are a dime a dozen.
I don't have
Fucking
anything
excellent
against
out
the
there.
guy, but I like the fact we didn't bend on the 1-year deal.
No, we offered him one. He
We
didn't
said
want it.
we offered what he thought he was worth, and Hawthorn offered 2. Fair enough.
Yep.
Good luck.
Go to Hawthorn, mate. That's a good decision for you.
Yeah, totally. On that note, shall we do some votes? Now, our votes are starkly different this week, and I will admit I tried to go a little bit out of the box.
Yours are gross. I've just looked at yours. Who are you?
I'm sorry.
You are a...
You can go first, because I feel like
I
yours are a
will,
bit
because
more
mine are right
mainstream.
and yours are wrong.
Aren't wrong.
Well, yeah, they're wrong, people. When
All
you
right.
hear them, you'll go, yeah, they're wrong.
Let's not keep the good people waiting.
Phil's got it right.
Hey, we haven't even got to that bit yet.
All right, I'm reading mine out.
Thank you.
Mhm.
3.
1 vote, Stringer.
Oh, you
4
go that
goals.
way.
Anyone?
Okay. Yep. 1. Yep.
Yep.
2.
2, Merritt. I thought he was very influential, but I could have gone other ways there, but I gave it to him. I could have gone Setterfield was the other one I was thinking.
Okay.
Because I really liked his game.
Sure.
And 3 vote, I don't think there's any doubts. Perkins.
The Perkins is the obvious one. I'm going to answer yours because I didn't give Merritt or Stringer votes. So Stringer kicked the 4 goals all in the first, 3 in the first quarter, and then was barely
When
seen.
we were going shit.
Yes, but was barely seen, right? I want 4-quarter efforts. That's why I didn't give him a vote. He was good, no issues, but that's why he didn't get a vote from me. Merritt, I didn't notice. I was very surprised he had 31 touches. He wasn't
That's
a
how he
Merritt
rolls.
performance. He was fumbly.
That's how he rolls.
He was fumbly. He had one beautiful kick inside 50, but that's
He
all
was
I
a bit
really
fumbly.
remember.
A few of
his
them were a
game.
bit fumbly,
Yes.
actually. Even Perkins
All the
fumbled a
all
bit,
the
but
sweat from that heat.
True.
Phil, so
2. Hang on, who's your 2 vote?
well, I'm not going to give you mine just yet.
Oh, right.
I'm leaving mine till last because you've built some sort
Oh,
of
right, yes, I agree.
negative
Yep.
suspense. Phil, our good friend who has been listening to the podcast for
Once
2
I call
or
me
more
Phil.
years, I did contact the guy who won the prediction thing and he didn't answer me. So I went to Phil and said, hey, can you give us some votes? You've just disappeared there, Nathan. Do you want to look at the camera?
Sorry.
Champion? Good job. So I said to Phil, please give us your votes, and he obliged. So he gave 1 to Merritt. Fair enough. 2 to Pidge. Again, fair enough.
I think that's fair enough too. Yeah,
And again, 3 was the no-brainer in Perkins.
Perkins. So he went merit along with me. That's interesting.
You're both wrong. It's fine.
Okay, Sam, now give us your one.
So I want to preface this
Just
with
say his name.
No. I want to preface that with being there is different, and I have always
Yep, I know.
maintained that.
Say their name.
I gave one to Jade Gresham
Yep, that's fine.
because I was really impressed with his work rate.
He was good. I don't have number 2 votes to
Matt Guelphy.
You're a fucking idiot.
I thought his game was critical. How often do we
Are
bomb
you,
it long?
are you relative to like his normal game? So it's a 2 vote for him because of how he normally plays?
I
or
really,
comparing it to everyone else on the ground that day?
I just really rated his game. I thought it was crucial. I
Fair
thought
enough.
it was impactful, and he was a large part of the reason why we won. Is there an element in the back of my mind that I know you hate him? Maybe. But I thought he was good. I thought he was great. And
I thought he was good, but he was not 2 votes good.
I'm not so foolish as to not give Perkins 3 votes because he was clear best on ground.
Yep.
I've got a little section in here around the grounds, which I'm throwing on you as a new segment. I just had the idea. We'll keep it brief because we're 55 minutes in. And
Sorry,
this
people.
segment, I want to just have a chat about, very, very brief, couple of minutes, about what's going on
Other
with everyone
teams.
else. So notable things. Brisbane
Collingwood
Lions,
and Brisbane.
Collingwood 0-2. Brisbane well ahead of Carlton in opening round, well ahead of Fremantle in round 1. Got overrun both times.
Well,
they were
the
further
Brisbane
ahead
one, I watched the
Carlton.
Brisbane game. They were up by, they kicked the first 4 goals, and then for the next quarter and a half or 2 quarters, whatever, they didn't kick another goal.
Did nothing.
Like they let Fremantle, who
Missing a few.
kick 7 or 8 in a row. Like, and they have got massive issues. I still think there's something broken at that club. I don't know what it is, but there's something broken.
It's interesting. Just quickly, I was impressed with Richmond against Carlton. I thought they fought really
Yeah,
well and
100%,
played reasonable football.
I thought that was going to be a flogging.
So did I. Yeah, 100%. The New South Wales teams, both Sydney and GWS look phenomenal. I would love I don't know what they call the derby there. I'd love a Sydney derby. Right now. That would be a bloody
look,
good game of
GWS
football.
look as good as anyone at the moment.
Yeah.
I know it's round 2, but they've got some players to come back. Like, they're not just.
I will say Sydney looked incredible.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't see
look-
the Sydney game. I was traveling.
Oh my God. Collingwood at the MCG.
Yeah, I saw the results. I was like, that's great.
And they could have won by more. They really could have been a
What's going on with
8,
Collingwood?
9, 10 goal. I don't want to answer that question until like round 5 or round 6.
Who have they got this week? Collingwood, do you know?
I have the thing. Brisbane. Oh wait, no, that's round 3.
No, they can't be. Brisbane got the bye.
That's round 3, but I'm confused because it's the third week of football. It's round 2. St Kilda. I'm actually going to that. Weirdly.
Oh, really?
I'm in the city.
St Kilda haven't won yet either. They only played the one game, but they didn't win.
They were good against Geelong though.
They were good against Geelong, but what stood out to me in that game was it was like 8 goals, 12 to 9 goals. And I'm like,
not a great game
you don't
of
win
football.
premierships. Well, you struggle to win premierships. I'm not saying you don't, but
You struggle.
you've got to learn to kick 15 goals in games sometimes too.
I am going to the Grand Prix this weekend, so I'm in the city
Okay,
Thursday night anyway. So I thought, bugger it, I'll go. So maybe I can answer your question about what's wrong with Collingwood next week.
Yep. Well, we're going to the Anzac game together.
We are, yes.
Exciting.
One of your first game in a couple of years. That'd be.
Well, I'm going to games before that, so fuck off.
Okay, fair enough. I want to comment briefly on North Melbourne. They put up a reasonable fight against GWS.
Yeah, it annoyed me.
Honourable losses get you nowhere, but it was one. And the Snuzz, Gold Coast. Get that done again in the wet. Nearly overrun.
Yeah, I still will be again. I want to see them play away from home. They've had 2 games at home.
Yes, correct. It's round 1, technically.
Yep.
And last one, I know I said the last one was the last one. Bulldogs, your pet hate team because you can't stand their coach.
Bevoed them again. So Riley Sanders was on, who's their first round recruit, was on 46 fantasy points at half time, equal with fucking Bontempelli or something like that, or a few up on. And for some reason, they took him off and brought on. And here's the other interesting thing: they started Small Potato on the bench. Did you see that?
Small potato.
Yeah, Small Potato.
Oh, do you mean your sub, Caleb Daniel?
Yeah, Caleb Daniel was the sub.
Small potato. Rough.
Well, he's a little spud.
He's not a spud.
He's a spud.
What
Have you
I
seen him
found-
playing Ballarat? Go watch his Ballarat games. He has 3 touches every
Okay.
time he rocks up to Ballarat. He cannot play there. It's too cold or too.
Good thing is they don't play games in Ballarat too often.
Well, they
and-
don't. That's potato country.
Okay, fair enough.
But-
What I found interesting was that they were only like 11 points down at halftime, 12 points
And
down
then
at
got
halftime, and then lost by the 40 something,
odd,
45. Yeah.
They see. I can't deal with them being so bad. When you look at their list and then look at the midfields, the forwards, like they've got some very good players.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get flogged by 40 points to a team that I would assume they're thinking they should be ending up somewhere
Well,
near.
they get to be close to them. What they'd be aiming
Yeah.
for. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have thought. Somewhere around
Yeah.
there.
Interesting one. I think we both think Bevo's should be under way more pressure than he actually is.
If they, yeah. Anyway, well, time will tell on that over the next 4 or 5 weeks. I reckon he's the first sack though.
Yep. Same. All right, next week we'll wrap up with this. The Sydney Swans. If we get within 6 goals of them, I'll be content.
30 points. So
Well, it's only 6 points difference there, sunshine. Couple of outs, guaranteed outs, will be
Yep,
Reid,
definitely.
Redmond, and Guelphy. And then I've got Jones there as well, but I don't think he will actually go out.
yeah, Jones will be an interesting one. I don't really care, to be honest, what they do because I can understand both ideas. Trying to keep him, get a bit of, you've got to get games. He's got to play footy.
Yeah.
And either you're doing that in the VFL or you're doing that in the seniors.
And I had in Laverde to cover Reid, Hind to cover Redmond, and then Sardis. He well and truly deserves to start next week.
100%. Sardis needs to play the full game.
If-
Draper has to come in.
Well,
too.
I was going to say, I think Jones needs to go out for Draper to come in. I don't think we can be that tall.
I still personally believe that if Draper's fit, he should be playing in front of Goldstein. I know Goldstein. You might argue he's a better ruckman, but I don't understand the development of our team
Mm-hmm.
if we're playing like Goldstein's not playing in our premiership team.
No,
he's there to cover injuries, and that's it.
can both
That's the
play.
harsh reality.
Can both play. That's what I want to see.
Well, I believe they both can play.
Can Jones be in that team as well?
Don't think so, because that would mean that Draper's coming in for Guelphy. Jones stays in the team. Well,
I know what you mean, but
there's your
that
forwards.
doesn't work, does it? That's what, yeah.
No, and that means that as we agree, that Sardis has to come in. Who Laverde has to come in. I don't know. I don't know how it works. So
It'll be an interesting one. It sucks that Guelphy has to go out. It sucks that Reid has to go out. That really does stink.
sucks
I
that
will
Reid has to-
say Laverde will be better with Mackay next to him than as opposed
Yeah.
to BZT.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Hind looked okay in the preseason, and I was actually surprised not to see him in the team for Saturday. So I'm okay
Agree.
with that.
He'll go
And-
well at Sydney too. That ground.
Yeah. And Sardis,
Well,
like
that's
we said, deserves that spot. He was very
Well,
good.
the half that he played,
Yeah.
it can't be a fitness issue. So
Yep.
he played as well as anyone.
So yeah, I'll get a tip from you because that is tradition.
Yeah. Essendon by 2 goals.
Oh fuck me! If we win, I will get a tattoo of Matt Guelphy's face on my leg.
Okay, 100%. If we win, everyone listening, if we win, Sam is getting a tattoo
It is
on
the
his calf.
safe.
of
No,
Matt
quad,
Guelphy.
quad.
Quad. Okay, so you can hide
Specifically, so I
behind
can
long
cover
shorts
it.
or something.
Yeah, I'll cover it.
Fair enough.
Um,
I'll pay.
all right, I like that deal even more. It is
I'm
the
happy to
safest
pay that.
bet ever because we're not winning.
But
I will
Go
say
your tip then.
Sydney.
By 36, you should be saying.
Depending on my mood, and I'm in a good mood at the moment, Sydney by 27. If I was in a bad mood, I would say Sydney by 127. And that is symbolic of how much I was impressed with Sydney, more so than our
Okay, yep,
team.
fair enough.
Yeah, tough one on the road. I'll be very surprised.
Yeah.
All right,
See what happens.
we'll wrap it up there. I will get the tattoo, but it's the safest bet ever, so sure. Thank you for tuning in. I hope my ill dulcet tones haven't been too much of a drag. I am thrilled to see Nathan's beard back, as I'm sure all of you are.
It's returning. It's making its way.
And yeah, we appreciate you tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Go Dons.
Go Bombers.